had a lot more hair then. Different person. Yeah, you introduced me to the product and I haven't used anything else since. In some days I preferred being in the gym than in the pool. And now I have my own club, which is going very well. My favourite product from VOW, hands down, is the EAA Hydrate. I think we were like one of the first wave of athletes where nutrition was started to be taken a lot more seriously. There's always something out there that you can learn. There's always something out there that you can go and find to improve you, your business, your goals, anything. Always be willing to learn.
What's let's look at some of your memories in sport. What's like one of the biggest memories or the most funniest thing that's ever happened to you in when you was competing? What's the most embarrassing moment you've had?
Ooh, here we go. Embarrassing moments. There's too many. I gotta be careful what I say. So junior Europeans were in Macedonia, and we've been there for a couple of days, and obviously the water's all different out there. And I'm young, so I would have been 17, I think, 17, 18. And I think I'd had too much of the homemade water right before the start of a game, and I had a terrible stomach. And I was like, gotta go. So I ran back to the toilets. The game's starting in 5 minutes. And because we're in the far east of the European world, I open the door and there's just a hole, and I'm like, nope, I'm not doing this. I can't bring myself to do it, so I just shut the door, dealt with what I had to deal with, and I got in, and we were playing Spain, who were one of the top teams in the world back then. Well, they still are, sorry, but they were the favourites for this game by a long way, and I ended up scoring the winner with 3 seconds to go in the game. With the worst stomach in the world.
You just wanted to get the game over and
done with. I
just
wanted the game done with.
Yeah. It's an interesting one because when I go back up, I've got some very funny memories actually from sport, to be fair. Don't even know whether I can say some of mine, to be fair.
Yeah.
But there was a really good friend of mine, and when I was sprinting, doing 100 metres, and we both ran for the same club, Enfield and Haringey. I'm not going to actually mention his name, but I won the race and he was actually second, but we was about 20 metres out from the line, and I heard and then I heard and then when I finished racing, looked back, this guy who I knew really well, raced with, he'd been straining a bit hard, and what came out of his shorts hit someone else on the leg.
Oh no.
And,
oh no!
Yeah. Then he was like, "Are you running the 200?" I went, "No, I was just doing 100 a day." He goes, "Can I borrow your shorts for the 200?"
Yeah,
like, no chance.
That
is a true story.
Yeah,
that is honestly a true story.
It's just the worst timing with sport, isn't it? It always happens.
But yeah, I think the art of that was just don't strain too hard.
No, definitely not. Avoid the local water when you're abroad as well.
Yep.
We used to get up to all sorts of mischief. We were playing in Malta. And as a team, the hotel doors, obviously, they open inwards. And what we would do is we would get 2-litre bottle of water, prop it up against the door. And because the floor was all marbled, we'd knock on one of the teammates' door with a load of, we'd waste our protein powder. We didn't understand it back then, but we'd get our protein powder. They'd open the door, the water would fall onto the marble floor, and we'd just hold the protein, would be like that, shut the door and run off. And they spend the next half hour having to clean up, and no matter what, you were never allowed to be late for a meeting. So we tended to always do it about 20 minutes before a meeting started. So they were always torn between, do I have a tidy room or am I late for a meeting, where you get a fine anyway. Yeah, we were horrible to each other, to be fair. It was good though.
Yeah, it's good fun, mate. You get a load of people together for, you get a load of young guys together, you're going to get trouble.
Yeah,
anyway.
It is. It's always trouble. But it brings I think sometimes it's needed as well.
Yep.
I remember when... it's not an embarrassing story, but we before London, we had a 3-week training camp in Ireland. We had a week of training, a week of a tournament, and then another week of training. And when you've got the same 13 lads in a hotel for that long, tensions can get high. And so we'd finished the second week, so we'd finished the tournament, and people were just starting to get a bit irritated with each other. And the coach, luckily, saw this, and he gave us a day off, and he was like, "Go out. I don't want to know anything, and I'll see you in the morning." And we were like, "Oh, amazing!" And we all went out, had a couple of beers, and everything was all good again. Yeah. Couple of beers. I'll stick to that as
yes,
well.
we'll everything out. Sorts everything out. The so whilst we're on this subject, then we can maybe go back over some of like the memories you've got from times at the Olympics. Maybe certain games that you remember, things that might have happened during those games.
Yeah, we had that. We had the Royals at one of our games. That was cool. So they came and watched, and I had on that day we were playing Serbia, and they are amazing. They are elite, but we were drawing with them at half time, which was never expected. That should never have been in that position. That's how good they are. And luckily for me on that day, my friends obviously had applied for tickets, and the Kendal water polo team, where I very, very first started, a few of my good mates from there managed to get tickets for this game. One of them being a special in the police force at the time, and his voice is so loud. And there was 6,500 people at every game we played at. And they were situated 2 seats behind the Royals. And I could hear him over the other 6,500 people. And he said to me, he turned around, he was like, yeah, I think is it Prince William turned around, gave him a look and turned back around. I was like, you didn't? He was like, yeah. I went and met him after the game. He told me everything. I was like, I could hear you. 6,500 people. I hear your voice. Yeah, that was a funny memory. My favourite memory of the Olympic Games personally was, obviously you get to meet everyone, and we're standing inside the village, all lined up waiting to do the closing ceremony, and I get talking to Sir Mo Farah, and this is what I loved about the Olympics. You know, he's just gone and got, I think that was the year he got 2 gold medals.
He did.
And he was more interested in what I was there for than himself. You know, he's just gone and won 2 Olympic gold medals. He solidified himself as one of the greatest of all time. And he's asking me genuine questions about what I did, how I found the Olympics, you know, just good chit chat. We then walk in, and the closing ceremony is going on. I think the Spice Girls were actually driving around in their taxis at the time. And I got a tap on the shoulder, and it was Sir Mo Farah. And he turned around and called me by my name, which is what I found even better. And he asked me to sign his flag. So I'll take that, yeah. So Sir Mo Farah asked for my signature. There
I like
go.
that, mate. Did you ask for his signature?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, got it as well.
Yeah, just out of respect.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And there must be some good memories in the weightlifting side of things now as well. I mean, now you're in a club. There's got to be a bit of banter going on there.
Oh yeah. I've got some great clients in that club. I actually just posted a video a couple of days ago. Been doing a lot of work with Kat, she's called. Sorry, Kat, I'm going to bring this up. And I've been doing a lot of work with her, and she's doing really well. But my God, it's like looking after my little boy. Like, if I leave her for too long, she wanders off. I have to bring her back in. But she trains hard. She's very good, and she hit a 60-kilogram clean and jerk at the end of last week off the back of being ill for the first time in 4 years. And if you go back, if you find this reel, she celebrates 3 times mid-lift. 3 times. And I'm like trying to tell her to concentrate because she hadn't finished the lift. And then she got the lift, and then she celebrated again. And that is Kat to a T. She's hilarious. She's really funny. Her dad, who's also in the group, a phenomenal lifter. He's 66 years old. And if I can do half of what that man can do when I'm his age, I'd be very, very happy. But the whole group, the whole team are just supportive, encouraging, very welcoming to new people that come on board. No matter what stage you're at in your weightlifting journey, they support you in everything. They're all brilliant, and I'm very lucky to have them. To be fair.
Nice.
Very, very lucky to have their support.
Sounds like a good club, mate.
It is, yeah, it's really good. Good fun. We have a lot of good times.
I'm gonna have to come and visit at some point, aren't I?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you should come and you should come when Ramiro's coming back. So, as we mentioned about Ramiro Mora, he's currently over competing in the World Championships in Norway, and we will be fortunate enough to have him come back I think around the end of October. I'm going to let him chill out when he gets back and have some downtime with his family, but he's mentioned about coming back to the club for a session, so hopefully we might be able to tie that both in together.
Right. Yeah, I don't know whether I'll compete with these guys in the lifting, to be fair.
Yeah, no, I can't.
No.
But it's going well, and you know, I don't often use my athletic background. I don't know why. Just never have done. I'm very humble about the whole situation, but you know, sometimes you have to use it, and it gets you in with the right people, and the right people then end up supporting you, and they help you develop yourself, your club, what your end goals. And when you have people that have been at a higher level than yourself, why wouldn't you use that opportunity?
100%.
And that's something that I'm learning a lot of myself now, that I need to go back to my roots, go back to my contacts, and not be afraid to ask for help from people that are in a more fortunate position than myself at the moment.
Yeah, look, it's one of the good things about getting older is you do get wiser.
Yeah, definitely.
You do learn more. You start to realise you knew less than you thought you always knew.
Yeah.
And then once you get to that point, you just keep gaining knowledge. And you know, we've mentioned it a few times, but yeah, sports science, training, supplements, nutrition, diet, all of this stuff, it's still a relatively new thing. It hasn't been around that long.
No, it hasn't, not at all.
And this is where we are seeing athletes reaching not. Do you know, it's a few things actually. Even I look at it and go, because I'm getting closer to 50 now, but it's allowing you to be better as you get older. It's allowing you to continue to compete, continue to actually even reach like new personal bests.
Yeah.
And actually weightlifting is one of those areas where you're not so age restricted. Like
that is the beauty of that sport. As soon as you turn 35, you're categorized as a master, and it goes in like 4 or 5 year blocks. So you got the 35 to 39 category, the 40 to 44 category, the 45 to 49 category, so on and so forth, and that goes right through. And I do genuinely love that system because it allows you to compete at your highest level for as long as you can compete. And it puts you on a level playing field with everybody else that's within your respective category. And I just love that about the sport, because with water polo, yes, they do have the masters and things like that, but it's not done with the same systematic format. And that's why I think a lot of athletes just go from, well, I'm competed at my highest level and now I am completely done. Whilst with the weightlifting, there's almost like a feeder system from the top end back through to allow yourself to have these opportunities to still have realistic goals to aim towards that fall in line with your age and allow you to keep going for as long as you decide to. I love it.
And it's motivation to keep competing as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the motivation to keep competing is the motivation to keep in shape.
Yes.
Because when you've got a goal or a target, or you're trying to work towards winning something or competing in something or getting a medal, whatever it may be, you're always motivated to carry on working hard, training hard,
absolutely,
trying to lift more.
Yeah, you've got to have an end goal, and then you'll find another end goal, and then another end goal. I've found that out the hard way, where I went a year and a half and didn't really know what to do, and just it's not good, good. So that's why it was like, okay, if I'm done with this sport, I'm going to compete at what I love coaching, and that has been game changing.
So let's see. What advice would you give yourself if you were starting all over again? If you were going all the way back to just before you started or when you first became a professional athlete, what would be the advice you'd give yourself now, back then?
Right now, probably to take my nutrition a hell of a lot more seriously, because at some point we're not going to be able to get away with this. You think you're invincible when you're a lot younger, and time will never catch up with you, and it does. And to be fair, to prioritise my recovery. But I think that all comes under the naivety of being young. When we start off so young, people will tell you these things like, you need to do your recovery, you need to start eating properly, because you're going to need to recover to be able to continue to perform. And you're like, I'm fine. I'll be fine. And then one day you just wake up and everything starts to hurt and you're not recovering and you're getting injuries and you're like, I should have looked after myself a bit better when I was younger. I should have listened. Is basically what I should have done. And just to, again, learn, ask questions as to what you're doing and why you're doing this to get to the end goal. And if you can understand your why, then I think you'll get the best out of yourself every single time.
So tell us a little bit about how you juggle life as well, right? So you've got a family.
Yep.
You've got your business.
Yep.
You've got your own training goals.
Yep.
You want to compete in Masters.
Yep. Right.
So how are you currently juggling all of that?
It's hard. Yeah. It's difficult, but I'm just fortunate enough that I'm in a position where I'm self-employed, so I can select my own hours. I can make sure that I'm at home enough. I'm fortunate enough that I can train within my own gym. It means that I'm not taking time out to then go back into work or go in early for work to train. I'm fortunate enough that a few of my clients actually prefer that I train with them, which not a lot of people do, but that helps me out as well. And yeah, it's just you just find a way, don't you? I think it's one of them where you could have the best plan in place. One thing goes wrong and it all changes, but you make it work.
Yeah. Because sometimes it's easy with sport to become almost a little bit selfish with it.
Incredibly.
And I know, I'm talking from experience, having done the natural bodybuilding. It's a really selfish sport.
Yeah.
And when you've got family, you've got kids, got wife, everything else, it's quite difficult juggling everything.
Yeah.
Not being too selfish, keeping everyone else happy, and you know what I mean. But still trying to hit your goals.
I think every athlete has to be selfish when you're competing at that top level. I don't think it's possible to attain that level unless you are selfish. I was just fortunate enough that I was that young. I didn't have family back then. I had only myself to focus on, which puts you in a fortunate position. Had that been now, it would be a very different story. It would be a lot harder to manage. Yeah, it would. Yeah, it would. I don't have that answer because I've never been in that position. When you're flying, you spend most of your summer living out of a suitcase. If you've got kids, if you've got a wife, if you've got your own family, and that's how you're having to live, that's tough. That is tough, and that's the sacrifice that you have to make to get there, and unfortunately that's how it is.
Yep. So, currently, what's your best training session, or your kind of like, what's your favourite thing to do in the gym?
At the moment, squats, and I never thought I'd say that.
Mate, I'd never say that.
Yeah, I know.
You got no chance.
I know.
I've never come close to say that.
I think it's just because of how well they're going. Yep. I've always hated them, so I've always avoided them.
Yep.
And now I can't avoid them. And I have a coach, so he doesn't make me avoid them. And he's putting me through a system that I've never done before, and I'm actually starting to enjoy squats. Yeah, I never thought I'd say that.
I can't stand squats. I try and avoid squats.
I know. I mean, I like the classic lift, snatch, clean and jerk. Yep. But right now I'm going through a different phase in my training where I'm going through a strength phase. So they're not as involved in my training plan. I do them right at the end of the week, just one session.
Yep.
I am looking forward to that change. I am looking forward to using what I've built the foundations of right now and taking it back to the lifts to see what the effects have happened. But just at the moment, I'm enjoying just getting stronger.
So tell us a bit more about how you're training at the moment then, because I know from my own self, and I've done certain things where I did volume sessions followed by pre-exhaust sessions, followed by then a week of just pure strength where I was just doing literally 1 rep maxes. Tell us a little bit about what kind of you're doing at the moment, how it works.
So starting off, I went through a 4-week block where it's sets of 10. And I mean a lot of sets of 10, 5 to 8 sets of 10 reps on everything that was planned in, particularly squats and overhead variations. And then when it came to accessory movements. They were into some like sets of 5, sets of 3s, but again, multiple sets, and just really building a strong baseline. The squats, I remember starting them, oh my God, I couldn't walk. Like, it really shocked my system. So the way it works is starting off on RPE, so rate perceived exertion. So RPE 8 one week, RPE 9 the other week, RPE 8 again, and then on the 4th week you do a 10 rep max testing.
Yep.
So you find your heaviest set, you rep it out for 10 or 5, whichever the selection has been.
What's your heaviest set?
Well, I just got the 125 for 5,
Yep.
and I finished the first block of 10 at 100. So I did a 100 back squat for 10 reps. Now I've had to move today's session to tomorrow for being here.
Yeah.
Yesterday I did my squats again, so that was now down to 5s. So I went 125 for 5, which personally for me have never been anywhere near those numbers. Push presses were at 80, power jerks were at 90, all again 5 reps.
Yep.
I've got block work to do for the rest of the week, which are in sets of 5. And then after this, I go into the final phase of this 12-week plan where it's 3 reps.
Yep.
So weight goes up again. So I'm hoping for a 150 triple. I'll say that out now. You can ask me in 4 weeks' time if I get it.
And do you know, it's one of those things where you have to mention, because you get a lot of people going to the gym and they go, oh yeah, I can do a whatever squat. I can do a 180 squat. I can do a 200 kilo squat, whatever it may be. And then, I mean, I was very lucky because some of the guys I trained with, I mean, you've met Glen, who I used to train with, who broke the British record and world record, I think, for squatting and deadlifting in the naturals. So I had a training partner I was comparing myself to, you know, and I was watching him do some ridiculous numbers. But the big thing is when you're doing a proper competitive squat, there's a big difference.
Yes.
Because the level of depth you actually have to go to, which is
Absolutely.
pretty dangerous and unnatural, right?
Yeah, you've got to hit the bottom.
You have. And if you do what most people do in the gym, and you do a half squat, suddenly you're lifting probably nearly double the weight that you can lift.
Absolutely, yeah.
And people don't always realise that when you're talking about a 125 squat, you're talking about bum to the floor. Squat.
Ass to grass.
Yeah. And that's the big difference. And I always had those conversations with people when they talk about a squat. It's like, yeah, but you know, if you want to look at someone's box squat, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
You could double the weight.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sit down, stand up.
So the average person in the gym, you know, you see it in a lot of kind of exercises. You know, it's very minimal movement, not full range. They wonder why they're not progressing that quick because they're not doing the full range and training properly. But I have to make that point because I know what a proper powerlifting squat looks like. Yeah. And I know how it feels.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't
high bar squatting as well.
I don't do them.
The in the weightlifting, you know, you go the crossovers between powerlifting and weightlifting. You get your powerlifters that'll do a low bar squat. It's a much more hinged position.
Yep.
Their depth is measured on the hip crease being below the knee, and as long as that's determined a good lift. In terms of like the weightlifting, more traditional weightlifting, it's a high bar squat, so you're much more upright in the torso, and your optimum depth is where you're at your strongest point. You'll never get a fail or a good lift in weightlifting based on your depth. But in order to continue to progress, if you want to get those weights, you have to learn to develop strength in the bottom position. You just need it. You'll never be able to do what's known as a power clean all the way up to the very, very top. There's like 1% of athletes that can do that. And even then, when they're still going for their PB, they won't be able to power. It just doesn't happen. So you need the ability to build strength in that bottom position. And without it, your numbers will be affected. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a visual person. I always have been. So, like, in both, when it was water polo, I would watch my opponent. I'd get DVDs and I would watch if I'm playing against Hungary, like best left-hander in the world back in the day. I'd watch his movements and then I'd envision how I'm going to have to play, how I move. And that's what I would do. But now that it's weightlifting, it's just envisioning like completing the lift. Go through the steps in the head, go through what you know you need to do, envision the lift being successful, and then as soon as you touch the bar, you clear your head and you go. There's nothing worse than overthinking it. Just that's what I always do in the top sets. Envision the lift being successful. As soon as my hands touch that bar, I clear my head and it's go time.
It's interesting. There's a lot of evidence now that shows that, there's people can visualize training technique, and there's a big thing in you can teach yourself something without actually doing it.
Right.
So boxers can do it with how to throw a punch, footwork, things like this. And technically you can actually go over something so many times in your head that when you say you go the next day to do it, you've perfected the technique.
Yeah.
Because whilst you're thinking about it, you're thinking about how you do it. I've actually done this before, subconsciously, not even knowing, and I've just thought about something so much that when it's come to do it, I've been able to do it, where previously I couldn't get it right. But then I went away and just thought about, right, okay, the technique and this, that, and almost imagined myself doing it.
Yeah.
And then was able to pull stuff off, which is, and I think this is where we talk about how when you become slightly obsessed by something, like trying to compete, and you go over these things over and over in your head, suddenly the perfect clean and jerk, you get it right because you're constantly thinking, right, okay, maybe I could put my feet in that position, maybe I need a little bit more bounce from the knees, maybe I need, do you know what I mean?
You are exactly right. I take the feedback from my coach on whatever the lift has been, and I see, and that's something that I'd like to say actually, is that coaches need coaches, because obviously I'm a coach, but I'm always going to be biased towards how I program, whether my lifts are good or not. I'm not going to make myself do the sets of 10 because they're horrible and I don't want to do them. But if someone keeps you accountable that's in the same field as yourself, then I think you'll always get the best out of yourself. So coaches need coaches, and working with my coach, I'll take what he says, I'll see the point that he's made, and then I visualize being able to do that over and over and over and over again. And I will drill it over and over and over and over again in the warm-ups. I will work on that specific part. Then when it comes to the lift that it's involved in, I envision the lift, I touch the bar, I clear my head, and I lift. And it's definitely working. 100% it's working. My progression these last 8 weeks have been phenomenal. So,
obviously we come to the end of this, so I want to thank Glen for coming in. For another one of our interviews with coaches, athletes, friends of the family, if you like, friends of VOW. So to kind of close things off and to end things, Glen, I want to ask you, what's your VOW?
So my vow is to always continue to improve myself as a coach in order to deliver the best service possible to the people that invest their time and money and effort with me.
I like that. And that's a VOW.